Hello, my name is Elder Mike. Welcome to the Popish plot we hope you like.
Hello, my name is Elder Nate. As you can see, it's just us boys and not my mate.
Hello.
It's Theology Thursday, and today's plot is the Book of Mormon, not the musical, Part 2. If you've seen the previous episode, you might remember that last time we talked about Mike's encounter with the Mormon missionaries, Elders Tango and Cash, and their attempt to convert him to the Church of Latter-day Saints through the Book of Mormon.
But fear not, dear viewers. Being cunning as a serpent, it was simply a ruse on my part. And as they tried to convert me, I tried to convert them, so that they would turn away from Mormonism and embrace Christianity.
Wait. Embrace Christianity. I thought Mormons already were Christians. Okay.
Well, yes, it says right on the front of the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ.
And they call themselves the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
But, just 20 years ago, in 1998, the then president of the LDS Church, Gordon B. Hinckley, quoted in Church News, which is an LDS publication, so
it's his own press. He doesn't have to worry about them slandering him.
Exactly. He was addressing claims from those outside of the church that Mormons don't believe in the same Christ as traditional Christianity. That Mormons, quote, do not believe in the traditional Christ. No, I don't. The traditional Christ of whom they speak is not the Christ of whom I speak. And when I encountered those words, after I got over my shock, they rang a bell. And I finally found what it was that it reminded me of. In St. Paul's second letter to that ever so troublesome church in Corinth.
They had some work to do.
In the 11th chapter. For if he who comes preaches another Christ, whom we did not preach, or if you receive another Spirit, whom you have not received, or another gospel, which you did not accept, you might well bear with him. He's chastising them for this. And later, and no wonder, for Satan himself disguises himself as an angel of light. So I'm forced to conclude that it is possible for people to be fed by not God, but by the adversary, another gospel. And that the Mormonism is in fact not Christianity.
No,
despite the presence of the words Jesus Christ.
I can kind of see that.
And this suspicion of mine was rather confirmed by some alarming statements made by Elders Tango and Cash, who, I remind you, unlike us, who are just freelancers,
we're amateurs,
officially deputized missionaries of the LDS Church.
So hit me.
Brace yourself.
How bad can it be?
God did not create the universe. It already existed, and he simply organized it into the form that we see today.
Okay. All right, so that's a thing.
That's the statement.
Yeah, and you know, I'm gonna point out first and foremost that this idea is explicitly refuted by the words of sacred scripture.
I'm assuming it's like probably a really obscure verse buried deep within.
Not so much. Right here, Genesis, first book.
That's early.
Chapter 1.
Ooh, that's really early.
Verse 1.
You know, the only thing earlier than that is the publisher's information.
Yeah. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Created, not rearranged.
Okay, but like, is there anywhere else in the Bible where there's anything even remotely like that? Because I mean, it's just one verse.
Well, let's see. We have the Gospel of John.
That's a good one.
Chapter 1.
Something about beginnings.
Verse 3. All things were made through him, and with him and without him nothing was made nothing that has been made.
Again with the making.
Yeah,
the creating.
Yeah, the Bible really has a lot to say about God as the creator. And, some people might say, yeah, but that's just the Bible. And according to what we discussed in the previous episode, if the Bible disagrees with the Book of Mormon, then the Book of Mormon must be right. But philosophy and theology also disagree with the Book of Mormon.
You know a lot more about those fields than I do, so what do you mean?
Well, so their argument is that God did not create the universe.
Yeah.
But in fact just rearranged all the stuff that was in the universe to make it the way it is now.
Yeah.
He's essentially an interior decorator. But here's the problem. Traditionally, both inside the church and without, God is that being whose essence is existence. So to put it simply, in order to create time and space, God would have had to pre-exist time and space.
And we know from our best scientific research that unlike the old steady state theories, that the universe does in fact have a beginning.
Exactly.
So if space and time have a beginning, they must come from something?
Right. And in order for them to come from something, they have to come from something whose existence is not contingent on the existence of anything else. With anything within them.
So, even if the Mormons are correct about God, or God, there would still have to be a being above him who actually made the stuff that he's rearranging, since we know that there was a time, there was no time, but that the universe, time and space haven't always existed.
Exactly, and it is that transcendent being that we Christians, and most of the world, would mean when they referred to a God, let alone the God. So therefore, their God isn't so much a God as it is just a lesser, a higher creation than humans, but a lesser creation of God.
So not the boss, but like a property manager or a superintendent?
Kind of, sort of.
Oh, that's kind of mundane. Okay, well, but that makes sense though, because according to the Book of Mormon,
okay,
this God, his existence is owed to the existence of evil.
Wait.
What? I read to you from the second book of Nephi, which is way better than first Nephi.
I would hope so. I mean, this is the new and improved Nephi.
Second Nephi, this time it's personal. Chapter 2. And if ye shall say there is no law, ye shall also say there is no sin. If ye shall say there is no sin, ye shall also say there is no righteousness. And if there be no righteousness, there be no happiness. So far, so good. And if there be no righteousness nor happiness, there be no punishment nor misery. And if these things are not, if punishment and misery are not, there is no God.
All right. So, first
I just don't know what to make of that.
First thoughts here. What I'm seeing is sort of a line of contingencies. A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D. Only they took all the arrows in between each step and flipped them. So what they're saying essentially is that D leads to C, leads to B, leads to A. If there was no God, then there would be no judgment or righteousness. There would be no law. There would be no sin. But they flipped them all around and said that if there wasn't any sin, then there wouldn't be this. It doesn't really follow that because A leads to B, that B then somehow leads to A. But to put it into maybe some easier to understand terms, as I mentioned earlier, God is that existence which is not contingent upon anything else.
Whereas here, you have to have misery in order for there to be a God.
Exactly. And realistically, once you make your God contingent, you can actually take out the misery and you can put in whatever you want. You could say that because there are no bacon cheeseburgers, there is no God. I mean, it's.
I'll be honest. On a Lenten Friday, when I'm really hungry, not having a bacon cheeseburger, it does plant seeds of doubt.
Yeah, but see, we believe in a God, and philosophy acknowledges the possibility of a God who is the pre-contingent existence.
This is why
everything is contingent based on him, but it is not contingent upon any other thing.
So again, there can be various beings and even higher beings than us, but as long as they're dependent on anything else, that's not what we mean when we say God.
Yes, and you could say that if there were no God, there would be no evil. But you can't logically then flip it around and say that if there was no evil, there would be no God.
Well, as long as we're misunderstanding the nature of things, you are really going to love what comes next.
All right. They've already gone and made God into a... I don't even know. This is an interior decorator who can't exist unless there is puke green paint.
So, this is a quote.
Okay.
From Elder Tango.
Yeah, all right.
Jesus and Satan are brothers. Which makes sense, if you think about it. Because the God they acknowledge isn't God, as we've demonstrated. Clearly there's something above him.
Have to be.
So, there could totally be something equal and opposite to him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, best case scenario, we're talking about the Arian heresy, where, Jesus is pretty good, but he's still not as good as God.
Yeah.
But what I think we're really talking about here is, like, the Force from Star Wars.
It sounds a little Gnostic.
It sounds extremely Gnostic, where their good and evil must be in perfect balance. It's, what do they say? There's two sides to every Schwartz.
Yeah, all right. So...
that's what the Mormons believe.
Yeah, and that may be a lot of things, but I can tell you what it's not. And that is that beyond a shadow of a doubt, that is not the Christianity that was mentioned, preached, and celebrated at the start of John's Gospel. Right here, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's equal footing with the Creator. All things were made through him, so he's just re-emphasizing, one, he didn't rearrange this. He was involved in the whole thing from the beginning, and he did not rearrange it, he made it. Which we talked about earlier, and nothing, and without him was made nothing that has been made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness grasped it not. All right. I don't know how other people might translate that, but what I'm hearing is that Jesus was a light that shined upon the world, and no force of evil, including the most evil of them all, Satan, was able to lay a hand on him. That does not sound like equal footing. That's not yin and yang. It's a whole lot of one and this other thing over here that's not even, it's not arbitrarily close and not quite touching. It's...
Now, as we come to the end of our excoriation of Mormon theology, I feel it's important to just reemphasize. I have long-standing friendships with Mormons. People that I love, people who I've known for years. And I know that they would confess that they have a sincere love of Jesus Christ. But you can't truly love someone while at the same time believing fundamentally untrue things about that person. And so my sincere hope, in the midst of our usually silly, sometimes almost always sarcastic little YouTube channel, that my friends, Elders Tango and Cash, wherever they are now, and indeed all those who belong to the Church of Latter-day Saints will come to see the light that shines in the darkness, will come to embrace the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, the second person of the Trinity, who is the life and the resurrection, and the only name under heaven by which men can be saved.
And as we stated, and I love that you said that, and just to, like we stated in the last episode, this is not a condemnation of people. This is a condemnation of bad teaching. Teaching which is leading people away from God and the truth of His love.
Amen.
So go down below, comment with the most outrageous misunderstanding of God you've ever encountered. My favorite one, now that I have this, of course, is that apparently the network on which the Property Brothers exists is the God of the Latter-day Saints, and the Property Brothers are essentially Jesus and Satan. They're very rarely working together. They're usually trying to compete against each other.
But at the end of the day, they're brothers and they love each other?
You gotta go figure.
I don't actually watch Property Brothers.
They seem to love each other.
I know they're always smiling on the cover of TV Guide.
That's fair. So, go down below, like the episode, hit the subscribe button, and ring that church bell so you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. And remember, until next time, live your faith.
Love your faith. Share that love.